Hey, it's B from Minnesota. Welcome to episode 14 of my series, Divorcing Crazy. This one's called It's Getting Dirty. I recommend that you watch all the episodes 1 through 13 that were posted before this to fully understand what's happening. I just recommend you know what's happening. In episode 13, that was aired just before this one, C had just served me divorce papers. The purpose for this, you're like, what the heck? Like, didn't you ask him? Yeah, so he went ahead and decided to be the one who filed the divorce because if you are the plaintiff in a case, apparently it makes you look better. Who knew this stuff? Apparently he did. He did. Now, mind you, if C could have rewritten what plaintiff means, I think he would replace that with victim. And now that he had labeled himself a victim, he had a narrative to tell. So he started out with playing some games like the keep away game with Brady. He'd come home from work, no matter where I was, he would grab Brady, go to the most opposite place that he possibly could on the property without leaving the property. Yeah, and then I would find them because, like, what else is going on in the house? I'm there being a mom, and that's where my kid is. So I'd go there, and so he'd see me there and grab him and leave again, and so on and so forth. That's kind of how it went through the evenings. This is what he was putting us through, is the keep away game. Eventually, he realized that I actually lived there, and you cannot just keep walking away from me because I live there, and that's my kid. So I think he was struggling with that and started to go to his mother's every weekend with our son. Since he was leaving all day with Brady, I thought this was a great time to reconnect with old friends. I knew there would be a time when I needed somewhere to go, and I didn't have a plan yet, so I needed to get out and start networking again. Sadly, C thought this was his chance to harass me. Ask me for my half of the expenses that were happening in the house. Apparently, the second that we decided we were divorcing, even though I didn't have a job, I needed to magically come up with money. That was his demand. He very much gave off the vibe that if I were to pay my half of everything, that things would be fine. And that's what his problem was, is I wasn't paying my half of anything. And in reality, that's what was ruining the marriage, was that he was treating me like a roommate, and this half of the expenses thing was not just starting to happen. It was always a thing for him. Not at any point did he step up and become a protector or the man of the house. He would just continuously beg me to do my half of things because he would never be able to pick up that half. He just didn't have it in him, I guess. I mean, it was really uncomfortable there, and he made sure of that. At one point, I found a video recorder in our garage recording me, and nanny cams, and the wrappers and the garbage that he took the nanny cams out of were in his closet sitting on the floor. Like, he had no shame. There was no tact to it. It was just, you're home, so I'm recording you. But he didn't tell me. He had a electrical tape, like a black piece of electrical tape over the light on the recorder in the garage. I think more than anything, I'm insulted that he thought I was that stupid. And even though I constantly looked for a job, I was always looking for a job. Nothing ever equaled or was making any mathematical financial sense as to getting a job and putting my kid into a daycare versus staying home with my kid. So we ended up doing the kid shuffle. pretty much on his time. It was on the weekends because he worked during the week. So he'd take Brady to his mom's on the weekends, and they would just fine-tooth comb through my social media trying to find anything and anything that looked bad. And that's for another episode coming up. But yeah, that's what they were spending their whole time doing. I was spending all my time looking for a job and trying to figure out how I was going to make life work. And he spent all of his time trying to dig for dirt. And when he couldn't find the dirt, he made up the dirt. I ended up moving out with an old high school friend. I'd known him for, I think, since elementary school. But he had a 3-bedroom townhouse, and it was big enough for all of us. I had a room, he had a room, Brady had a room. It was spacious. It was a right location. It was centralized to reconnect and network with all of our friends who kind of moved to that area from high school. And they collectively were helping me where C was failing me. And that was continuing to help support me in a way that I could be a caregiver for our son during the day, which he refused to do. There was no monetary anything. I was just scraping by trying to figure out how to make it work for me and my son every day, all week. And then he spent the weekends with his mom doing the social media thing. So, And yeah, they were even babysitting for me while I was going to interviews, and I did get a job. So yeah, see, when you do it by yourself and you don't have somebody hindering and trying to inhibit you from doing something productive, that's what happens. You get to do the things that the people that are making you use all your time to watch your kid versus getting a job, which he would not pay for any other kind of daycare. So get it? See? Monopolizing her time. Don't let her get a job. Financial abuse. It's a whole bunch of things. Move out day was interesting. We'd already been to court, so we were already ordered to split things 50-50. And we already had kind of a general list of what to split in the house, but then we were supposed to also, he was supposed to let me go through the house, and we would select every other thing or some kind of pattern where we were actually splitting things 50-50. And C had already changed the locks, so yeah, we had to agree on a meeting time and date. Apparently when I took the second dining room table that he didn't need, it became a problem because we needed a dining room table. That's when he changed the locks, because according to him, I needed nothing. Nothing was for me. Give her nothing. Those are the words that kept coming out of his mouth. I've never heard anybody who keeps being told by a judge that he needs to give 50-50, and his constant responses are just, no, I am not willing to give anything. Oh, wow. So I get some friends together. We get a U-Haul, and we show up at my old house at the time and date that he agreed on. But instead of seeing him in the driveway or anywhere near the house, when I pulled up, I saw a big pile of furniture in the driveway. Okay, it wasn't even that big. It wasn't as big as if I was expecting half the stuff in the house. That was not a big pile of anything. That was just a little pile. But a pile of furniture, and C driving away. But he didn't want to see me off. You know, his biggest problem was that people were helping me. If you ever want to get into under the skin of a narcissist, one that's trying to drag you down, let them know at some point other people are helping you avoid his damage or her damage or whoever it is in your life. They don't like that. They don't like it at all. He brought it up numerous times between the court papers, when he was trying to play victim, that I didn't need any kind of support. I didn't need child support. I needed nothing from him because somebody was helping me survive without him. And that meant he didn't need to give me anything. That was a legitimate excuse from him at some point. He wanted me to feel trapped. He wanted me to feel unable to defend myself. He wanted me to feel alone. So if you're around anybody who's doing that to you, this is part of my stories. I always try to remind everybody when it gets to one of these instances with him. Being this far back into it, it's very easy for me to say, hey, that's when you should recognize this and that and not do this and do that. But there's purely a moment when you need to realize that you're being trapped and being either emotionally abused, financially abused, the court system's being manipulated, blah, 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 blah. That's crazy stuff. I mean, you would really think maybe he'd be a little bit distraught, because I mean, that's kind of the picture he was giving off to everybody when I moved out, was that this was the most devastating thing in the planet. But I got a little surprise for you guys. By this point of the story, he already has a new girlfriend. Dun, dun, dun. Surprise. I know, right? Like, the dude just got done begging me for another baby. Like, I feel like it was just a couple episodes ago. I'm sure that was his mission or whatever, because now, at this point in the story, he's already got another girlfriend. And this is where the crazy doubles. So this is where it doubles. Thanks for watching my whole series here. It's called Divorcing Crazy. This was episode 14. I hope you watched 1 through 13 to make it make sense. And also watch all these, because I'm writing episode 15. And these are going to get really weird and dark, and I'm going to read some emails and messages, and so I appreciate you watching them. Some are going to be longer than others. Just to recap, if you guys are like, who is she talking about? What is all this weird stuff? You got to go watch the previous episodes. I do explain that everybody is protected with their first letter of their name. So C is my ex-husband. If I talk about that, Brady's my kid. And that's not his real name. So, I mean, it's his name, but it's not his full name. So anyway, sub to me. It's super important. I need all the support I can get. I'm going to be here for a while. I got a lot of stories to tell. It's like, we're in the stretch of the 14 years where things are like, huh? Yeah. Yep. So if you know who I'm talking about, feel free to share this with them, the whole family, if you'd like. I really would love for them to watch some of these episodes and say, he did what? Yeah. So this is all here for my healing, for my therapy, for my sanity, to get the truth out instead of a narrative. I did win my court battle with him after 14 years on January 25th. 2025, the day before my birthday, and I did get majority custody in the school district because he does not listen to his son, and there was attempted alienation, and he can thank his wife for that, because there's no love. There's no love there at all. So yeah, I hope this is a truth bomb one day. But I really do appreciate all you hanging out, listen to all this and me yapping. Catch you on the flip side on episode 15. See you later.